In the heart of Denver, where skyscrapers gleamed under the Colorado sun, a conference room buzzed with tension so thick you could slice it with a wrench. The room, all polished glass and sleek chrome, housed the sharpest minds in engineering, graduates from MIT, Stanford, and Caltech, their resumes glittering with accolades. They'd been hired by Winston Dynamics, a tech giant chasing the impossible, a revolutionary engine that could redefine energy itself. 4 weeks of relentless work, millions of dollars burned, and countless sleepless nights had led to nothing but a prototype that sputtered and died like a bad dream. The air was heavy with frustration, the kind that makes even the most brilliant minds question their worth. At the head of the table sat Emily Winston, the CEO whose name was synonymous with victory. Her tailored blazer was as sharp as her reputation, her icy blue eyes scanning the room like a hawk. She was a woman who thrived on control, her confidence forged in boardroom battles and billion-dollar deals. But today, even Emily's composure was fraying. The engine, her company's golden ticket, was a failure, and the clock was ticking louder than her patience could bear. She leaned forward, her voice cutting through the murmurs like a blade. "Fix this engine," she declared, her tone half challenge, half mockery, "and you can have my chair." A ripple of nervous laughter followed, but no one dared meet her gaze. It was a joke, of course. Or was it? The room's glass door swung open, and every head turned. In walked a man who didn't belong. Jacob Lawrence, a mechanic from a small town nobody in the room could name, stood out like a smudge on a polished mirror. His faded jeans were streaked with grease, his flannel shirt rolled up to reveal calloused hands that had spent more time under hoods than in lecture halls. He carried a battered tool bag, the kind you'd find in a garage, not a corporate penthouse. Whispers rippled through the engineers, some smirked, others scoffed. Who was this guy? A janitor who'd taken a wrong turn? Jacob didn't flinch. He walked straight to the prototype, a hulking mass of wires and steel that had stumped the best of them. The engineers watched, half amused, half outraged, as Jacob set his bag down with a soft thud. He didn't glance at the towering stack of schematics or the laptops humming with diagnostic software. He didn't need to. Jacob knelt beside the engine, his ear close to the metal, as if it were whispering secrets only he could hear. His fingers moved with a quiet certainty, tracing pipes, tightening bolts, adjusting valves. The room grew silent, the sneers fading into curiosity. This wasn't the frantic coding or theorizing they were used to. This was something else, something primal, almost magical. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. Jacob's hands, rough as sandpaper, worked with a precision that made the engineer's Ivy League degrees seem like paperweights. He paused, his brow furrowing, then reached deeper into the engine's core. A faint clink echoed, and he pulled back, holding a single, unremarkable washer, a tiny piece of metal no one had noticed was misaligned. It was the kind of mistake that could have been caught in a second by someone who knew what to look for, but these engineers, buried in their algorithms and simulations, had missed it entirely. Jacob stood, wiping his hands on his jeans. "Try it now," he said, his voice slow but steady, carrying the weight of someone who didn't need to shout to be heard. The lead engineer, a man with a PhD and a chip on his shoulder, hesitated before pressing the ignition. The room held its breath, as if the air itself was afraid to move. Then, a low hum broke the silence. The engine roared to life, its rhythm steady and strong, like the heartbeat of a beast finally waking up. The sound filled the room, drowning out the doubts and egos that had choked it moments before. Jaws dropped. Eyes widened. The engineers, who'd spent weeks chasing theories in circles, stared at the machine as if it had betrayed them. Emily Winston, the unshakable CEO, felt something shift inside her. For the first time in years, her carefully constructed armor cracked. She didn't see just a mechanic standing there. She saw a man who reminded her of her own roots, late nights in her father's garage, the smell of oil and metal, the quiet thrill of fixing something with her own hands. Back when she listened to machines, not just to boardroom chatter. Jacob's simplicity wasn't weakness, it was strength, distilled to its purest form. "Who are you?" Emily asked, her voice softer than anyone in the room had ever heard it. Jacob shrugged, slinging his tool bag over his shoulder. "I was just listening," he said. Those 4 words hit harder than any keynote speech or technical report. They weren't just about the engine, they were about seeing what others overlooked, hearing what others ignored. The room felt smaller, the air charged with a new kind of energy. Jacob didn't wait for applause or validation. He turned and walked out, leaving the hum of the engine and the stunned silence in his wake. The story didn't stay in that room. It spread like wildfire through Winston Dynamics, from cubicles to coffee machines, from the factory floor to the C-suite. By the next morning, it had leaked to the press, and soon, the internet was buzzing. "Mechanic fixes $1 million engine in minutes," screamed the headlines. Blogs dissected Jacob's approach, tech forums debated his methods, and MidnightTales, my YouTube channel, dove into the story with a video that racked up views faster than you can say talk French. People weren't just talking about the engine, they were talking about what Jacob represented, the idea that brilliance doesn't always come in a suit or a degree. Sometimes, it shows up in grease-stained jeans, with a tool bag and a quiet confidence. Emily, meanwhile, couldn't shake the image of Jacob at work. She'd built her empire on strategy and ambition, but this mechanic had reminded her of something she'd buried long ago: instinct. She found herself digging through old photos, ones of her and her dad tinkering with cars under a flickering garage light. She hadn't touched a wrench in years, but Jacob's words, "I was just listening," echoed in her mind. They were a challenge, not just to her engineers, but to her. Could she still listen like that? Could she still trust her gut over her spreadsheets? The company didn't just recover, it soared. The engine's success drew investors like moths to a flame, and Winston Dynamics became the darling of the tech world. But the real change wasn't in the stock price. It was in the culture. Engineers started spending more time on the factory floor, talking to mechanics, learning to hear the machines. Emily herself made a point to visit the R&D labs, not just to oversee, but to get her hands dirty again. She even tracked down Jacob, offering him a job as a consultant. He politely declined, saying he preferred his small-town garage, but he did agree to one thing: a guest spot on MidnightTales, where he shared his story with the world, his quiet voice captivating thousands. That episode of MidnightTales became one of our most watched, and for good reason. It wasn't just about an engine or a mechanic, it was about rediscovering what matters. Jacob's story reminded us all that expertise isn't always loud or flashy. Sometimes, it's in the quiet moments, in the ability to listen when everyone else is shouting. It's in the courage to trust your instincts, even when the room is full of skeptics. And it's in the humility to step back when the job is done, leaving the world a little better than you found it. So, what's the takeaway? Maybe it's that the next big breakthrough isn't always in a lab or a boardroom. Maybe it's in a small-town garage, in the hands of someone who's not afraid to get a little grease under their nails. Or maybe it's simpler than that: listen. Really listen. To the machines, to the people, to the world around you. You never know what you might hear. Hey, friends, if this story got your gears turning, smash that like button and hit subscribe to MidnightTales. We've got more stories like Jacob's, tales of grit, genius, and the unexpected moments that change everything. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had a moment where you just knew how to fix something, no manual required? Let's keep the conversation going, and I'll see you in the next video.